Is Crystron dead? Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Crystron post-Maliss. Now, it's been a while since Maliss has come out, and I'm just now getting around to playing Crystron, and the simple answer to this is because I really did think that this deck was dead. So I really didn't think that I would give it a try, because, it dies to the same things, it doesn't necessarily have, like, an exceptional matchup into Maliss, right? So I was like, it's not really worth it. But I give it a shot, and I'm gonna show you how overall it works, especially now in the Maliss metagame. So yeah, we're just gonna quickly go through the card by card. Here's the thing. I changed almost nothing from the previous list, except for I took out a Veiler and 2 Ghost Ogres, and just slapped in 3 Lancia. That's it. That's all that's changed. So we're going to quickly go through the card by card. If you don't know how Crystron works by sending cards to the graveyard to banish them in order to generate additional cards, right? Searching cards with Smiger, like the Inclusion or the Cluster. Same thing with Thistfern, and you basically banish cards in order to get your combo started. Tristaros banishes itself to pop a card in order to, or pop a synchro monster in order to special summon 2 from deck. Inclusion banishes itself in order to special summon a guy from grave. So all in all, it's pretty bad because you want the cards in grave and then banished, which means Lancia also hits you. That's the problem, right? On top of that, it is a deck that relies on going first and being able to play into established boards. Well, not established boards, basically. It relies on hand trapping the opponent in order to actually play through play through the opponent's board, right? So, with Maliss having the ability to play through hand traps as effectively as they do, except for, like, specific silver bullets, most notably Maxi and Lancia, it wasn't exactly well positioned, or at least theoretically wasn't. Now, one thing of note, I'm not playing Fool Loss. Why am I not playing Fool Loss? 2 reasons. 1, it's not actually all that great into Maliss. Like, it's kind of okay, right? But it's not exceptional. And 2, it doesn't really help you going first, and I do think that it is necessary to have additional ways to, like, interact with the opponent via things like Imperm or Veiler instead of Fool Loss. That being said, I could also play Droll, I could also play Fool Loss, which I'm not playing in here. But for the most part, it's okay. So, there's that. Let's quickly go through the card by card. Starting off with the Crystrons, we're playing 1 Citri, we're playing 3 Tristaros, 3 Smiger, 1 Thistfern, 1 Sulfenir, and 3 Sulfador, as well as 3 apiece of Inclusion and 1 Cluster. We're also playing 1 Foolish Burial to be able to dump things like Smiger or like Thistfern into the grave in order to use them as extenders or starters. We also have the Millennium Engine in here, which is also just very strong right now due to the fact that you get to see what your opponent is on, which is nice. So that's pretty solid. It also eats up hand traps, which is pretty good. So we're playing the 3 Sengajin, 2 Weju Temple, just because seeing it is not bad, given the fact that being able to put something like a Smiger or a Sulfenir or something else of that nature into the back row and then sending it to the graveyard is pretty solid. And then we're also playing the 1 Golem. As for the rest of the cards in the main deck, we're playing 2 Veiler, 2 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Lancia, 3 Nibiru, 3 Infip, and 2 Called By, and a Crossout. So lots and lots of non-engine, which is one of the big benefits to this deck, is that we have the ability to play a lot of these silver bullets, or a lot of these, like, very high-impact hand traps. Again, we could play Droll, but Droll is, like, really bad, just in general right now. We could also play Fool Loss, which is also kind of okay, but doesn't really help going first, which, again, as mentioned. As for the extra deck, we are playing the 1 Doomed Dragon as well as the 1 Zombie Vamp for our Sengajin or our Millennium Engine. I'm also playing the Excel Synchron alongside Baron because what you can do is with Millennium, with Golem and your Tristaros, you can like normal summon Tristaros and then go like Golem into special summon the Excel Synchro, which, if your opponent doesn't interact with you on the Golem summon to trigger your Tristaros, you can then like basically get a free Baron, which is pretty cool. Or you can get another 8 and then eat a hand trap and then go for like the Sengajin in order to go into the Zombie Vamp. So that's also fairly decent. While also potentially giving you an additional body on field off of a Doomed Dragon. It still does the same thing, more or less. So that's pretty cool as well. As for the rest of the cards, we're playing an Excel Synchron as a level 5 that we can make in order to go into Infinity more effectively. We're playing a Sam D in order to play around Nib. We have a Dawn Dragster as well as 2 El Skeletus. And then the 1 Quarion Drax. As for the Xyz, we're playing 1 Nova and 1 Infinity and a Typhon alongside the Zombie Vamp. And then we have 2 2 Links in Clockwork Knight, just to be able to, like, normal summon a Smyger and send it immediately to the graveyard. And then, of course, SP Little Knight, which is generally what you will make after going into your Sengajin line. You just make SP as, like, an additional point of interaction. So, you, like, link off the Zombie Vamp if you get into uninterrupted, and then you have an extra SP. That's pretty much it. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and this is a fairly decent hand. Let's see what we can accomplish with it. We're going to start off here with the Sengajin, obviously. We're going to activate the effect of the Sengajin, which will be met by Impulse. Sure, that's fine. We're going to normal summon Smyger. Smyger effect into the Clockwork Knight, Smyger effect to grab up Inclusion, and now we can just do the full Crystron combo. We're going to go Inclusion into the Sulfador. Sulfador is going to then pop the Inclusion in order to send 2. We send specifically Fistfern so that we can search, and Sulfanier so that we have the additional combo. We're going to grab Tristaros and then send it to the graveyard in order to special the Sulfanier and pop Sulfanier. Sulfanier is going to summon the Citri and then synchro into Elasceletus. Elasceletus is going to add a guy to hand. We add the Smyger here, and now we get to pop it off of the Tristaros to summon 2 from deck and another one from grave off of its own effect. So here we can just immediately go into the Nova and then immediately from that into Infinity and just pass the turn, except for the fact that I'm lying to you. We're also going to summon the Citri here, so we have Citri and the Tristaros in order to synchro summon, which is pretty solid. My opponent's going to normal summon and then go to combat, which we will promptly meet them with the synchro of our Dawn Dragster. I think the idea was there was to bait out the Dawn Dragster, but they're going to go for the Chessy Cat here. Sorry, they activate the Chessy Cat, I activate Tristaros, they activate Impulse, I activate the Dragster. They activate Maliss, targeting Infinity, which, by the way, this does have to banish. So I activate Lancia, and the last card is Crossout, to which I will promptly negate. This is Chainlink 8, by the way. So let's go through this real quick. Chainlink 8 is Infinity, negating the Crossout. Crossout is now negated. Lancia's effect is going to activate, which negates the Malice in the Mirror. Then the effect of our Dawn Dragster is going to negate and destroy the Dominus Impulse. Dominus Impulse is negated. Tristaros activates its effect, and my opponent scoops it up. 10 out of 10. Alright, now what happens if we go second? And the simple answer is you draw a Silver Bullet and you pray. That's pretty much all that you can do. My opponent is going to normal summon the Dormouse. We are going to activate the Lancia and hope and pray that this is enough. We also did draw Nib, so there's a chance that if they had something like Called By, they may be played poorly into Nibiru, and we get to Nibiru them without them killing us. We draw Ash here for turn, which is great, because we're going to activate the Golem here. We're going to then normal summon the Tristaros, because I'm stupid, and forgot to normal summon that first. You always normal summon the Tristaros first, because it punishes the opponent for interacting with you, so that's what we do here. Anyway, we're going to go for the Golem here, and we're going to grab up the Wedju Temple, which will probably be met by Droll and Lockbird. That's fine. I'm going to activate the Tristaros here, which will probably be met by Impulse. Again, that's fine. And you want to know why? Because we can still make Baron. So I'm going to go for the Wedju Temple here, and then just go into Excel Stardust, because I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. So we're going to go into Baron, which may seem strange, but watch. We're then going to go into the Doomed Dragon and put into the back row the Dormouse. Now, this may seem abnormal and strange, and the answer is, you're probably right. However, the reason I'm doing this is because it keeps the Dormouse out of the grave. Which means they can't Bestial it, or March Hare, or something else of that nature. And so I just put it into the back row, and now it's kind of just dead there. So, that's the general idea. We're going to walk over the field, and then just pass the turn. So we do have Ash Blossom, Nibiru, and Baron, which is not bad. I'm just going to immediately Baron this. Of course, they have the Malice in the Mirror. Why would they not have the Malice in the Mirror? But to be fair, negating White Rabbit here is extremely good, just overall, right? Negating it. If they have a Bestial, it's like not great, but it's still fairly solid to get the guy off of the field. Alas, didn't matter. They're going to go for the TB11. That's fine. Out comes their Dormouse, or their White Rabbit once again. But that's fine because they went for TB, which could be negated by Ash. So we just Ash them, and they concede. I would imagine they don't have another extender there, so Good game. Alright, here we are, once again, going first. And we drew Ash and Called By to play around Maxi. Hip hip hooray. Of course, we normal summon the Tristaros and start with the Golem once again. We're going to activate the Golem in order to grab up Wedgoo Temple. They're going to go for the Droll Lockbird. I'm going to Called By that. Seems like a fairly decent Called By. To be fair, if they had Lancey'd me, I would have cried. But that's okay. Because, of course, we get to now make the Nibiru Insurance, which is Baron. So out comes Baron, and now activate the Temple. Temple is going to grab up the Sengajin in order to grab Sengajin in order to go into the rank 8, which is Zombie Vamp. So we're going to activate the Zombie Vampire and mill a whole bunch, and out comes Tristaros since we milled him, which is fantastic. We also had the Smiter already engraved via the Doom Dragon, so there's that. We also now see that they are on, of course, Maliss, and of course, it's a terrible, no good, very bad criminal deck with things like Template Skipper and Code of Soul and Exceed, which is choices, I guess. But that's fine. We're going to go for the Smiter here in order to grab Inclusion effect in order to grab Sulfador, and then activate the effect of the Sulfador, popping the Inclusion in order to special summon, or in order to send 2. Out comes the Skeletus, or Skeletus. And I have noticed at this point, oops, I think I did this wrong, but it's fine. We're going to grab up Cluster and then pop the Skeletus, in order to summon 2. We specifically summon the 2 5s and reborn the Tristaros, and now we can go into Nova, into Infinity. Zombie Vamp is just here, having a good time. I'm also going to search the second Sulfador, which is a mistake, because it's actually not the second, it's the third, and that's stupid, because now I can't Tristaros for a 7, because I have all 4 5s in rotation, and this guy only special summons from deck. So that's a bit of a goof on my part, but all this means is that I have to activate Cluster first before I can go into the Dawn Dragster. So it's a bit of a goof, but it's okay. Anyway, my opponent draws for turn and activates Malice in the Underground, and I go, oh, sick! That's a way to do exactly what I needed to. So we immediately shuffle the guy back in order to allow them to normal summon and go into Balinks. Now, I understand, theoretically, why they did this the way that they did. They normal summoned a Dormouse and didn't activate the effect, which, to be fair, is technically the correct option, because I do have 2 Omni Negates on the field. So they're like, I need to fetch out the Omni Negates. And I go, sure, I'm going to make Dawn Dragster here, because I know your other Parallel Exceed, because for some reason this card is at 2 in Master Duel. I don't know why this card's at 2 in Master Duel, but I know the other Parallel Exceed is engraved because I milled it. So I know I don't really have to worry about anything. And I think they realize that that didn't go exactly to plan, because they go into Cerberus and activate the effect pitching White Rabbit. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So I negate, and then they triple attack, and I negate. Yeah, the game's over. Coolio. Now, to be fair, had I not milled the Parallel Exceed, I would have just negated the Parallel Exceed, and then it would have been dead anyway, and it would have done the exact same thing. So, I don't know what the plan was there. I don't think there was one. But good game. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is still bad. I really was hoping that this deck would be better than I was expecting. And I was really, really low on my expectations with this deck. And honestly, they met expectations. The problem is that they don't really have a good matchup into Maliss, nor do they have a good matchup into the hate that Maliss is getting via things like Lancia and other such stuff. But also, notably, they're really bad into Impulse. Like, Impulse in particular is pretty bad against this deck due to the fact that you can activate it on pretty much anything. So you still have the ability to, like, interact with something else, like activate an Ash Blossom on a Sengajin, and then still Impulse the Tristaros. So there's that. Now, that being said, Impulse and Lancia don't exactly mix very well, which means if the opponent does activate the Impulse, they can't Lancia you. So if they activate an Impulse on something like a Millennium monster, and then you reveal that you normal summon a Smyger, and you get to do the Smyger line, that's like fairly decent. It still dies to Ash Blossom, but alas, there's like stuff that you can do, so it's not like the end of the world. But for the most part, it is still weak to the myriad of hand traps that Maliss is currently running. It doesn't exactly play well into those established end boards, because like, yeah, banishing monsters from my grave is not exactly a thing that I would like you to do, so please don't do that. But alas, they do it nonetheless. So, there's not really an upside to playing the Crystron deck, and there's a bunch more downsides than previously, and it wasn't even the best deck before now. So, I don't know. It's still fun. It's still Crystron. I still enjoy playing it because it is Crystron, but it's not great. Wow. So surprising. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like, very much. I appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.